Welcome everyone to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. My name is DFree. Here today we are going to go ahead and take a minute to visit the many Gokus in the game and try to decipher which ones are the top, I want to say 5, but you know, we'll see. Which ones are the top Gokus in the game, of course, in my opinion. I want to point out a couple of things. I will not be utilizing the duo units, so these guys, the Goku and Vegetas, and then of course the Goku and Frieza that is coming out in part 2 of the current celebration. So they are not a part of my list at all. But I do have some honorable mentions for you guys. And remember, this is all in my opinion. At any point, feel free to say, hey, DFree, you're crazy. I disagree. This should be here, and this is why. And let me know why in the comment section down below, and I'll be more than happy to check it out. And, you know, we can have a discussion about it. But to me personally, I'm going to go ahead and say this applies literally to only this unit here. The first honorable mention. Really, naturally, I think this is probably like top 2 or 3 Goku in the game. This card is insanely good, and I'm not going to undersell him at all. But the issue with this card, in my opinion, is that he is so impossible to get for a lot of people. Now, you have to log in for 1,000 days. There are people that are halfway there. There are people that just started playing the game that literally will never see this card probably. You know, stuff like that. So that is one stigma that I'm going to attach to this character for this video. But again, recognize that he is a top 5 Goku for sure in the game. He just can't be on my list because, you know, he's a character most people will never get. And I'm not going to do that for any other character because they're all otherwise summonable. And if you don't have them, that's fine, but that doesn't mean you can never get them. So, you know, that type of deal. So, amazing Goku. Top 5 for sure, but not in my list, so obviously got knocked to honorable mentions. This Goku, particularly the Kaioken variant over on JP, that has the ability to dodge, in my opinion, is really good, does a lot of things, but to me, I felt like the sacrificial HP, the not having the fierce battle, things like that really kind of hindered, what he would have done otherwise, so he can't be in my list. STR, Super Saiyan Blue Goku, ultimately gets 140% attack and 90% defense. That is massive. To me, not having access to that additional 50% most of the time pretty much means he's only 90% across the board, which isn't good enough, in my opinion, if you're not getting some sort of mechanic boost or, you know, some sort of gimmick on your super attack. It's just very generic. So to me, he can't really be on the list otherwise. This applies here to every Super Saiyan God Goku in the game, actually. A lot of them are very similar, particularly the newer 2 Awakenings, AGL and STR. They both get 80% attack and defense upon launching super attacks. This one raises attack. I think the STR might as well. In fact, we'll pull him up here momentarily. But to me, again, I kind of just said it here for the Goku, but again, that's too low of a percentage to really make it into the top 5 list. In my opinion, they're not really doing a whole lot otherwise. Now, this guy is really good. He raises attack and defense, so to me, he is obviously the better option. Neither of them has immense damage, and otherwise, this Goku's good because he has First Awaken, which UI Goku loves, but that has nothing to do with this character individually. Like, I mean, that's a link that he'll get, sure, but like, no, not enough. So in my opinion, again, not top 5, but really good because they are in my honorable mentions list. And you just saw this long list of Gokus. I mean, there's probably like 100 of them, not joking, at least. So anyways, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, both variants, both really, really good. This one's amazing support, especially now that the ape mechanic has been updated. You don't mind him transforming as much. This guy, very, very vanilla, 90% across the board. He's just like the Super Saiyan Blue Goku, actually, but he also gets some sort of gimmick here, so I'd probably rank him a little bit higher, especially because he can be on the SS3 team, which is one of the most damaging teams in the game, and he links pretty well there, unlike Vegeta, who also does not have Over in a Flash, the red GT Vegeta. So, that being said, that is my honorable mentions. Every other Goku, in my opinion, either is an honorable mention or, like, not there yet. Because, yeah. Anyways, you may be wondering, what is the actual list? Boom, here's our first unit in our actual list. Really, here's the funny thing about this guy. This guy is so good. Initially, he was in my top 5. But the newer Goku, or the other new Goku, wasn't actually in the top 5. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I forgot all about the transforming Goku. So, like, where do I put that Goku? And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll put him in the top 5, especially out of respect because he's a brand new unit. And I don't want to hear anybody talking bad about me like, oh, yeah, you're not going to put the new Goku. But I really do think that Goku's a top 5 Goku in the game, especially if you get into his later transformations. So, innately, this guy had to get bumped down a little bit. But, I mean, really, they're not. I really don't think that they're that far of a difference. Like, I really don't think this Goku is that much worse than the other Goku, the new one. So there's that. But ultimately, amazing unit, raises attack for 1 turn. Of course, a great raise, by the way. If he launches an additional, he will be insanely powerful for the turn. You know, one thing that they did in terms of like nerfing quote unquote this unit is the supreme damage. He doesn't really need immense because he's getting it technically here pretty much with a great raise, but like, come on. If they had given him immense, this guy is disgusting. He is disgusting. 80% attack and defense at the start of the turn. Oh, hey, look, we're still seeing 80%, 90% numbers. Of course, it changes. If you haven't noticed, the calculations work a little bit differently when it's at the start of the turn versus being when they launch a super attack. It's not exactly the same, but still, that being said, we're going off the sheer numbers here. Another thing to consider is this guy gets an additional 20% attack up to 120% more whenever he receives an attack. So yeah, there's something really funny about that though. Apparently, his additional 20% attack with each attack received is calculated separately from the first part of his passive, so it doesn't amount to a full 200% attack. Actually, since it's calculated separately, resulting in an increase of 36% attack per attack received, for a total of basically 300% more attack. After this guy has 380% passive, bro. What? Again, it's weird. This game is all math. This is why I said I'm not really gonna get into the whole nuance of super versus non-super having to get the boost, but still, he's too good. He's really, really good, but he's bottom of my list. Super Saiyan 4, I really honestly don't feel like he's too much worse than Super Saiyan 4, if at all. But Super Saiyan 4 Goku, immense damage. Defense is through the super attack mechanic. Nowadays, that's not as good. You would want it on the onset, really, to me. You would want to have it at the beginning of the battle. 150% at the start of the turn is a massive boost, which is why this Goku is still so good. Like, he was so ahead of his time. Like, he's like freaking like a year and a half old now. He was so ahead of his time that he is still amazing. So, a chance to counter the enemy super attacks. Very solid links. Sucks that he's only on pure Saiyans. And there's that. Moving on, I do have the transforming Goku right here. Really, if you couldn't tell, I really feel like the bottom 4 slots are all a shuffle. Like, I feel like they're all pretty much on the same tier. I don't feel like any of them are really that much better than each other. So for this unit here, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to base them off of where I typically get. I typically get to Super Saiyan 3, and that is it. 100% attack up and 40% defense, coupled with the ability to decrease the damage he receives by 23%, while also, through all this transformation stuff, being able to raise here, also has immense. I feel like this unit's too good. He does a lot of different things that allow him to have access to being one of the better Gokus in the game. On top of that, he's in, again, these better categories, such as Super Saiyan 3, one of the better ones in the game, in my opinion. And ultimately, this guy is amazing. And of course, if you go ahead and look a little bit deeper, right, he gets this guaranteed crit chance, max key, receiving damage reduced by 25%, immense damage, the 120 here. Like, he's good. He deserves to be on this team and this list, and that is where I will put him here ultimately. So ultimately, I typically get this, so I wanted to recognize that. But even if I got this only, if his max form was this form, it would probably drop to being maybe number 5 on my list, but really I have him so high because of the possibility of getting here, and I think this Goku is amazing. So, moving on, we have this Goku, who I really don't feel like STR is a whole lot worse than this Goku either. This Goku is a direct upgrade, yes, but I mean, just the way that this unit plays, it's really weird. So he gets 100% at the start of the turn versus the 150 the other Goku gets. He gets an additional attack and defense boost up to 70%. So he can ultimately get 70% defense at the start of the turn and then 170% attack. The more HP remaining, the greater the stat boost. So the more HP you have, the better off you are. I remember a calculation vaguely that said like he needed to have at least 70% HP or so to be better than the other Goku. Well, damn, bro. That's not a whole lot of HP, right? At the start of the turn, it's not really hard to maneuver, but it just kind of leads to the mindset that this guy is really, really good, but STR Goku was so ahead of his time that he's not like infinitely better. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of the upgrades, like the Gotenk Super Saiyan 3 is a good example. Like, physical is so much better. But this guy is really good, and he deserves to be here personally, but I don't feel like he's a whole lot better than the previous options. Still has the whole same exact chance at countering. It would have been another thing if this was a high chance. It's still the same medium chance to counter with the same tremendous power, so it's not a whole lot of variance there. And also, the cool thing, though, is that he has the different name, Ultra Full Power, versus just Super Saiyan 4 Goku, so you can use them on the same team technically. Right now, that only applies to pure Saiyans, but in the future, maybe, you know, they'll have opportunities to be linked together in which they're pretty much each other's best friends. So, number 2, this one is interesting because I've been very critical of this unit in the past, but I think that 100 at the start of the turn, attack and defense, that's actually pretty much the best passive we've seen at the start of the turn. It's the best passive we've seen throughout the whole video, naturally between the two stats. I mean, like 150 is going to be the best one on the list entirely, I believe. But, you know, yeah. So 100 there, really, really good unit. Ultimately has the chance to awaken, transform into Ultra Instinct here. And here's the deal with this guy. He gets the guaranteed supers pretty much. He gets 150 here. He's still raising attack when he supers. He has immense damage here. He has a great chance to evade the enemy's attacks. And the least talked about part of his passive is that he disables the enemy's guard, which allows your entire team to do more damage if they had type disadvantage. So for example, if he was up against a physical opponent, naturally he would do decreased damage unless he got a critical hit because, well, he's at a type disadvantage. This removes that. The opponent cannot defend with that type of ability. And the funny thing is it does it for your entire team that turn. So if you had a full mono int team, intelligence side, they would all do increased damage. So really good unit. So I've been critical of him in the past. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like this Goku honestly is a little bit better than this one, just because like if this Goku ever gets hit, he dodges 75% of the time, 70% of the time. If he ever gets hit, he gets hit really hard. But this Goku kind of doesn't do that, but he doesn't dodge, right? So you kind of pick your poison. There's a little bit of a trade-off there. And this Goku may be a little bit more consistent, ultimately, to me. But that being said, I can't ignore the fact that this Goku hits way harder, for one. He's still raising attack. And then this Goku here can literally awaken turn 1 into Ultra Instinct if you're still below 50. Like if you're doing something like Boss Rush or something, you can literally go the entire battle with this transformed Goku, which this is the only transformation I think in the entire game that can do that. Like there's not another one that uses this awaken mechanic that can do that turn 1. Any other character that does this, I don't believe, because they all have like Turles and Vegeta, they're like after like turns, getting under a certain amount of HP, and like, you know, after 7 turns, under 50% for the LRs, and it's like, okay. But you guys knew who you guys already knew who was number 1. I mean, oh, 180 is the highest. Forgive me. You knew who was number 1. I don't need to explain it. This guy is so disgustingly good. You knew when you clicked onto the video who was number 1. So, yeah. Have an awesome day. Thank you for tuning in. He literally needs no explainer. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.